The automotive world just got a masterclass in how to treat independent creators, and the teacher was Ferrari. While Bugatti spent months stonewalling YouTuber Matt Armstrong over parts and support for his Chiron project, Ferrari quietly did the opposite. When Matt's 296 GTB refused to start, Ferrari stepped in to help diagnose it. No drama, no press release, just a phone call, a technician, and a willingness to work with someone who buys crashed supercars and fixes them in front of millions of people. This wasn't charity. It was smart business. And it exposes a widening split in how legacy car manufacturers are choosing to respond to the new reality of creator culture. Matt Armstrong bought this Ferrari 296 GTB after it had been crashed in Cyprus. The car was a wreck on paper, airbags deployed, structural damage, electrical systems in an unknown state. But Matt has built a channel on exactly these kinds of projects, and the 296 was his most ambitious yet. The problem started the moment the car arrived in the UK. It was completely dead. No ignition response, no dashboard lights, nothing. The pyro fuse, the main high-voltage safety disconnect, had triggered during the crash and taken the entire electrical system offline. That part made sense. What didn't make sense was that, no matter what Matt did, he couldn't bring the car back to life. Ferrari's initial guidance was straightforward: fully reassemble the car before attempting diagnostics, because a hybrid supercar with disconnected airbags, open wiring looms, and missing sensors is too dangerous to probe in a half-built state. Fair enough. Matt spent weeks putting everything back together. Every airbag connector, every sensor, every control module wired back into place. Then he turned the key. Still nothing. At that point, suspicion turned to the hybrid battery. The 296 GTB runs a plug-in hybrid system with a high-voltage lithium battery pack, and the original unit refused to charge at all. Matt ordered a brand new replacement, roughly £12,000, hoping that would be the breakthrough. It wasn't. The car still wouldn't start, and the new battery behaved exactly like the old one. Months passed. The car sat. Here's where things diverged from the Bugatti playbook. When Matt reached out to Ferrari directly, the response he got wasn't a legal letter or a referral to an authorized dealer. Ferrari told him plainly, "Once the car is complete, we'll come and help." Not a guarantee to fix it for free. Not a warranty claim. Just a willingness to show up and look at the problem alongside him. That's a meaningful distinction. Ferrari wasn't pretending the car was still under any kind of protection. It had been crashed, imported, modified, and rebuilt in a YouTube garage. But they recognized that refusing to engage at all would be the worst outcome, both for Matt and for the brand. Contrast that with Bugatti's approach to the Chiron project. When Matt discovered a non-original Audi A3 airbag fitted inside that car's interior, the fallout was significant. Bugatti's response, at least publicly, was to circle the wagons. Parts became harder to obtain. Official communication dried up. The message seemed to be, "You're on your own." When creator Mark McCann later raised public questions about Bugatti's servicing costs and gearbox pricing, the company's response was similarly opaque. Ferrari made a different calculation. Send a technician. Work through it. Turn a potential PR problem into a demonstration of competence. When Ferrari's team finally got to work on the 296, they started from scratch, running diagnostics on every system rather than assuming any previous conclusions were correct. And within a relatively short time, they found the first major culprit. The hybrid battery still wouldn't charge. But here's the thing. The problem wasn't the battery itself. The problem was the electronic handbrake. When the 296 was transported from Cyprus to the UK, the handbrake was locked in the engaged position from the crash. Matt manually released it so the car could roll onto a trailer, a completely reasonable thing to do. But because the car never started after that, the handbrake was never electronically re-engaged. It just stayed released in limbo. What nobody knew until Ferrari's technician checked the system logic was this. The 290 SIXS charging system has a built-in safety interlock that prevents the hybrid battery from charging unless the electronic handbrake is confirmed as engaged. The logic is simple. The car shouldn't be able to roll away while connected to a charger. Without that signal from the handbrake, the charging system simply refused to operate. At all. which meant the original battery wasn't faulty. The 12,000-pound replacement battery wasn't faulty. The charging hardware wasn't faulty. The car just needed the handbrake switched on before any of it would work. Months of troubleshooting, thousands of pounds spent, all tracing back to one overlooked safety interlock. Even after resolving the charging issue, the car still wouldn't start. Ferrari's technicians kept digging. The 296 GTB doesn't have a traditional key or a conventional start button mounted on the dashboard. Its start-stop function is built into the steering wheel itself, using a haptic touch interface, essentially a touch-sensitive surface embedded in the wheel that detects your fingertip pressure. If that system fails, or if the signal it sends to the car's control units is corrupted or absent, the car cannot start. Full stop. Matt had already swapped the steering wheel once, pulling a second-hand unit from a breaker's yard. It didn't fix the problem, which led him to rule out the wheel as the source of the fault. But Ferrari looked at this differently. They asked a more specific question. What if both steering wheels, the original and the replacement, had the same underlying damage? When a modern airbag deploys, it generates a significant amount of heat in a very short time. In the original crash, that heat didn't just burst the airbag bag, it also cooked the connectors and wiring embedded in the steering wheel hub near the start-stop system. The result was intermittent electrical contact. Sometimes the signal got through. Often it didn't. The car read it as a fault and refused to start. The replacement wheel Matt sourced from the breaker? It came from another crashed Ferrari, which meant it had almost certainly gone through the same airbag deployment, the same heat exposure, and the same hidden connector damage. He'd replaced one damaged wheel with another identically damaged wheel. Ferrari's fix didn't require replacing the entire assembly. They isolated the damaged components within the wheel, the buttons and associated wiring, and replaced just those. It was precise, targeted work. And then the car started. The Ferrari 296 finally drove under its own power after months of being a very expensive paperweight. Matt described the experience as immediate and overwhelming. The grip, the braking, the acceleration all landing at once. He rated the overall experience around 8 out of 10, with his main reservation being the exhaust note, which he felt didn't quite match the theater of the rest of the car. Mechanically, though, it worked. Everything Ferrari diagnosed turned out to be correct. But the larger story isn't really about the handbrake interlock or the heat-damaged steering wheel connectors, as satisfying as those reveals are. The larger story is about a car manufacturer choosing engagement over control at a moment when the instinct to do the opposite would have been understandable. Ferrari had every justification to walk away. The car was crashed. It had no warranty. It had been modified and partially disassembled by someone who films the whole process and posts it online. Helping Matt came with real risk. If their technician had missed something, or if the car had developed another fault shortly after, that story would also have been filmed and uploaded for millions of viewers. They helped anyway, because they understood that the alternative, refusing to engage, citing liability, pointing Matt back to authorized channels, would have produced a far more damaging video. Bugatti is still learning that lesson. The backlash over the Chiron project hasn't faded. Every new question about parts availability or servicing costs resurfaces the same narrative, that Bugatti treats independent owners and creators as threats to be managed rather than enthusiasts to be supported. Ferrari just positioned itself on the opposite side of that argument. And they did it quietly, practically, and effectively by sending someone to look at a broken car. In an era where a single YouTube video can reach more people than a year of traditional advertising, that kind of goodwill is worth more than most manufacturers have yet realized. Ferrari, apparently, has done the maths.